Welcome to the video and episode 2. Currently here in Chiang Mai, Thailand at a place called Lalana. Very nice place. I'll show you around in a different video, but for this video, we're going to focus our attention on sexual transmutation. Now, I've just spent a week-long retreat with my girlfriend with Mantak Chia, learning how to add depth to these practices. This is something that I've done for 5 or 6 years. Let that sink in. I've wanted multiple times to talk about this, but it was never quite the right time for me to talk about this until now. I feel like it's the perfect time. I feel inspired to talk about it. This isn't something that's talked about very much in any spaces, whether it's trading, personal development. It's a subject people tend to stay away from. However, there's a lot of hidden knowledge and value and ancient wisdom in this. People have been doing this for 2, 3, 4+ thousand years. In the Tao especially. But there's ways you do it. Everyone's got a different way of doing it. A lot of the world's most successful people do this in one form or another. And there's books that break this down, but it's very watered down information. So let's get into it. Now, the journey for me started with Think and Grow Rich. I was 18, 19, 20 years old, picked up Think and Grow Rich. Now, something that Kevin Trudeau talks about with Think and Grow Rich is that it's a watered down version of the Law of Success and 16 Lessons. At the turn of the century, a lot of the information that was put in that book originally was taken out because it was going to be extra beneficial to the public. Now, when you're releasing books like that, a lot of the wisdom is often kept in private. So there's certain information in that book that was taken out. Now, there's a chapter called The Mystery of Sexual Transmutation. This was a fascinating topic for me because I didn't really understand it. He never talks about how to apply it, and it's not applicable to the person reading it. But I always came back to it because it was a huge fascination, and then that led into a rabbit hole for me of then seeing a YouTuber talking about retention and sexual transmutation, and then I got into Mantak Chia's books 5, 6 years ago. So for me, meeting him in person was amazing. Interviewing him was a different level. So that's going to be the end of this video. And it's a topic that is still fascinating for me to this day, and I love it. So this chapter, he writes the following. The emotion of sex brings being a state of mind. Because of ignorance on the subject, this state of mind is generally associated with the physical, and because of improper influences to which most people have been subjected in acquiring knowledge of sex, things essentially physical have highly biased the mind. Napoleon Hill says some of the most successful men in history were driven not by logic or routines, but by desire, channeled and focused through this principle. But the issue is, you do naturally read a lot of books, but how many of you actually apply the knowledge? How many of you actually underline stuff, highlight it, apply it, figure it out what it means? That is the ultimate key there. Plus, it's not something that's taught in school. It will never be taught in school. And a lot of the Western parts of the world are completely against this. We live in a culture where everything is sexualized, especially for men. You know, you go on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, a lot of people's algorithms is so biased to seeing a certain sort of thing. So if you're going on Instagram every day and you're seeing half-naked women everywhere, or you're seeing a certain type of thing, it's going to influence the mind in a certain way. So the goal is to, number one, influence the algorithm. Number one, be aware of what you're looking at. And then number two, being able to transmute the energy into higher power, higher focus, higher energy for your mission. That's the key. Now, let me make this clear. This is not about suppression of any kind. You can still have, obviously everyone's got different circumstances. You can still have a lot of sex. You can stay away from sex if you wanted. You could do it both avenues. But the whole goal is to be able to transmute this energy to make it applicable for different things. Your mission, your vision, higher goals, success, more abundance, financial wealth, whatever it may be, you can really use this. So here's some of the benefits that I've experienced personally. Increased creative insight to focus on my mission, big thing. Number 2 thing that I've not written down here is my ability to be able to manifest. I've been able to manifest a lot of things over the past 5, 6 years, which a lot of it comes down to this, because you're storing your life force energy. You're not wasting it on porn, a screen, recklessly. You're using it into a higher creative force. So with that comes the magnetic ability to be able to attract better, more quality, quicker. It's amazing. But until you go through this yourself, I can't really be the person to convince you. I can be the cue for it, but you've got to do the work yourself. Enhanced focus. Very little brain fog. Haven't suffered with brain fog ever, really. I think that's something that a lot of people focus with, but then you look at their routines and they're draining their energy constantly. There's a big disconnect. There's a big disconnect between, let's say you want to become a funded trader. I talked about this in the last video, episode 1. Your identity, your future identity is, I want to become funded. 500K, $1 million funding, multiple payouts, big personal account. I want to be able to scale that success. But your identity is completely different. And you'd be surprised how often I see this, even in coaching calls recently. Your identity right now is your actions don't match that. You're missing the gym. You're not eating healthily. You're watching porn. You go on cheat meals after you've suffered a trading loss. Whatever it may be, you're going on a self-sabotaging cycle, and there's a big disconnect. Okay, so your goal is to align everything. It needs to be in union for you to succeed. Now, when this energy is stored and transmuted, your brain sharpens. Something that Mantak Chia talked about this weekend as well is sexual energy and brain energy are the same thing. So if you can transmute this energy up the body via a practice I will tell you about called the cool draw, you build on that brain energy. You become sharper, you think of better ideas, you can execute, and you have the conviction to work on your mission, to work on success. You have that hunger. Think about the hunger, the desire you have to watch porn, or to release, or to go and chase someone. But whatever that desire is, if you then focus on that, on the right things with the right intent, think about how much you will get done. It's not just the time constraint of things like watching porn or bad habits. You know, that takes way too much time, number one. You could be then transmuting that to actually finding a real relationship, focusing on actual success, getting more money and more results as a side effect. Okay, so think about that. Don't have that disconnect. You need to be able to learn to convert this energy up the body. So as I said, if you can convert sexual energy, it's added brain power. Now, my practice, I started off doing the cool draw. And if you master this, this is a very good practice to be able to transmute. There's this. You can obviously go to the gym and have a creative outlet. For me, it would be gym, something like filming. I love doing this, talking with my community a lot. It's quite, that side of me, I guess, is a bit more feminine. It's the less of doing and it's just the creative force, the inspired action. That's the creative force, that's the outlet for me, okay? Now, no porn, no mindless scrolling. As I said before, with the algorithm, it's so easy nowadays for young people, like crazy ages, to find this stuff on the internet, and it's influencing people in a set way in and outside of relationships. Okay, I'm not gonna go too much into this, but you know, even when you are in, you know, you're watching porn and stuff like that, you have an outcome in your mind. There's always an outcome for someone. Whereas in a relationship, that shouldn't be the focus. There shouldn't be an outcome. It should always be present moment. And it's the same thing in this. So whether you're a guy or a girl, this is more focused on guys. Funnily enough, my girlfriend has actually done a breakdown on this for females and how I can use it. So I'll leave that in the description for you guys to check out. For guys, semen retention. Okay, if this is something you've never done before, try and go a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, stretch it into 4 weeks plus. I promise you, if you do it correctly and you transmute this energy up the body, in the beginning, yes, it's gonna be difficult, but you'll have so much more energy, so much more focus, so much more desire to work on yourself, so much more desire to actually achieve success, and you'll be surprised how quickly you manifest. Okay, but don't just take my word for it. I'm just the messenger here. Go and do your own work. Try this out for yourself. Yes, it's not easy. The first few times, very difficult. But once you get used to it, the benefits massively outweigh the drawbacks. And I would never go back. Now, to finish off this video, there's a little interview I did with Mantak Chia. This was a blessing for me to actually witness, from reading his books years ago to applying the principles, to then getting to meet him in person on a week-long retreat in Thailand, to then interviewing him and connecting with him in person via conversation was amazing. So I'm going to connect this now. Master Chia, thank you for taking the time to answer my question.
Good.
So a lot of my audience is based in the West, So a lot of these practices with transmutation isn't well known. What would you say the biggest thing for someone is in trying to improve success with more focus or more success in general? How can transmutation and understanding chi help that person?
Because Western education is everything outside. And everything is out and very strong. Just go ahead like that. So that's why the first thing they have to learn that, hey, slow down. If you keep on pushing so fast and you're getting yourself too stressful life is hurting all the organ, the whole system. So that's why in the Tao said, the first thing you have to calm down and you have to learn how to smiling to yourself. And if you can learn how to smiling according to the organ, there's 5 major organs, that's only that you learn how to smile. And in the Tao required that you have to see the picture, how your heart look like, how your spleen look like, how your lung look like, how your kidney look like, how the kidneys look like, and how your liver look like. That is very simple. Anatomy book is 10 baht, 10 euro, or the 10 euro is nothing, or 10 England pound is so little money. The pound is so little money. Okay?
Because you say sexual energy is the same energy as brain energy.
That is the West discover, and that's what the Tao talked about 5,000 years ago. Yeah.
So if someone understands the practices that you do, we can improve focus, have more success on the back of it, and just more energy.
Yes, the whole key is that the Tao said sexual energy, that means the West talk about, but the Tao talk about very long time ago. Sexual energy can return back to the brain and revitalize the brain. Okay, so that's why when you learn how to revitalize, when you learn how to draw the sexual energy up, you can increase your brain power. And the major part is sexual organ is the same energy with the organs, so you can strengthen the organs.
And the more retention you do with semen retention, the more that improves the focus on the back of it.
Right. So that is the whole, we call the internal practice. We call inner alchemy practice.
Perfect. Thank you very much for that.
Thank
you.
Thank you.
Thank you. As I said with Mantak, transmutation isn't really covered in the West as much, nearly as much as the East. But for me, I personally stumbled upon it through Think and Grow Rich, the book. There's a chapter in there called Sexual Transmutation, but the book is very watered down. So he doesn't actually go in how to do it or the practice itself. That then led me into a rabbit hole of finding another YouTuber, exploring more information, and then before you know it, I stumbled into Mantak's books. So this was like 5-6 years ago. I've been doing this since 2020. So with this practice, for me, it's improved my focus, my energy, my awareness of self, my awareness of feeling how to transmute this energy up the body to then ultimately have more success. So for me, it's been a interesting exploration, and it's been one of the best things I've done, but I haven't really talked about it myself. So I think it's time to bring it out, because I do believe, and you believe as well, it can massively help people.
Yeah. And coming from my angle, like just being open to this information for about a few months, reading the book, I can honestly say that Michael is one of the happiest person I've ever known. Like every time when I look over, you're always smiling, you can manage a lot of stress, and I do have my moods as well. So I have my feminine, ebbs and flows, ups and downs. I can be super happy and he would match me there. And then when I'm super sad, he would bring me back to this like level of balance, this baseline that is way higher than any man I've met before.
Go read his book on cultivating male sexual energy. I promise you, if you apply and you're ready to hear this knowledge, this will be a life changer for you. And if you're not, come back to this in maybe a year's time, 2 years' time when you're ready, and you may be a better place to start applying that. Hope you enjoyed this video. I'll see you in the next one.